Hello and welcome to PlayStation Access, where this week we are celebrating a decade of PlayStation 4. Yes, on November the 15th, the console officially turns 10. Time to pick up your PS4 and use the air vent to blow out the candles. And what better opportunity to gather the Access team for a Tuesday checklist on a Friday to recall the games and moments that define this spectacular machine for each of us. We also want to hear your PS4 memories in the comments. While you're picking a good one, you can listen to me kick off way back where PS4 began.
So my favourite PS4 memory, I think, was the build-up to PS4, because I remember that being just an incredibly exciting time for PlayStation, and I remember it starting when they first revealed the PS4. I remember very vividly the shot where it was sort of out of focus and it slowly came into focus and everyone saw the shape of it for the first time. And then it was E3 2013. That was an amazing E3 where Sony just smashed it out the park. Like it was so exciting. The crowd was literally chanting, Sony, Sony, Sony. And they were unveiling all of PS4's features. There was that incredible just off-the-cuff video that Adam Boyes and Shuhei Yoshida made where it was how to share a PS4 game.
Yeah.
And Adam Boyes just gives Shuhei Yoshida a game and it's like, thanks. And that's it. But that the whole, just the atmosphere of excitement, not just at E3, but from the community in general about PS4, it really felt like this was a machine that was coming to really take PlayStation to the next level. And I remember going to our first hands-on event where we saw the PS4 for the first time. I remember holding the DualShock 4, and that was at the time when PlayStation Access was sort of in its infancy as well. And it was the videos we made off the back of that event that, combined with that hype for PS4, really sort of gave Access the rocket fuel in its early life to essentially go on the journey that it's on now. I felt like I was right on the edge, on the cutting edge of a really exciting thing and really in it. And that had always been my dream, to be covering games in that kind of capacity. And I remember playing The Playroom, which was the very first appearance of the little robot who is now known as Astro.
Yeah.
You've just unlocked a memory for me, Rob.
It was incredible. I was doing things like tilting the DualShock 4 and listening to the little sounds
You could
inside.
hear them, couldn't you?
You could hear all of the little robots going, and you could feel them rumbling around, and you flicked the touchpad and they would shoot out into the game world.
Good.
It was amazing. I remember Holly doing our very first hands-on with an actual PS4 unit, and we got to do a video that was like all of your PS4 questions answered, and I think that was our very first video that ever did 1 million views, and that feeling like it was just landmark moment after landmark moment, and it was the first console that I'd ever covered professionally. Back when PS3 launched, I was still, living at home, still a child. It sort of meant a lot to me in that respect, and it all culminated on PS4 launch night. One of the games that was coming out in that launch window was Octodad, Dadliest Catch. So for launch night, I got to dress up in an Octodad costume and just walk down the queue of people lining up outside Game on Oxford Street waiting to buy their PS4, and everybody loved me. It was amazing. I was just like walking down as Octodad, doing like a dance, taking photos with people. Everyone was like, Octodad, Octodad, wow, wow. And I just felt amazing. I felt like, yeah, I've made it. I've arrived. I did actual stunt work.
You're a stunt double.
I was sat in the boot of a car going like that.
Do you remember you were in the boot because you wouldn't fit on the inside of the car?
Because the Octodad suit was too big for me to actually sit in the back.
Do you remember who was driving the car?
Ryu from Street Fighter.
The story's getting weirder and weirder.
And then
I'm the Octodad. I'm
I
famous.
am Octodad. And then I think someone else wore the Octodad suit later in the evening, because I had to do some actual work after that. So I took the Octodad suit off and then walked down that same queue of people who 5 minutes previously had all been delighted to see me, and now didn't give a hoot.
The clown's lament.
As that car drove down the queue and I was just like wiggling around in the back as in my Octodad suit, everyone was cheering. It's just everyone was happy, everyone was in a great mood, and that is what I associate with PS4, just excitement, positivity. It was an incredible generation, and the start of it was just so brilliant for so many reasons.
I don't know that I'm going to talk about like technically the best game or the most incredible, impressive game or the most popular game, but it's a game that changed things for me and I didn't expect it to, and that game is Bloodborne.
Bloodborne time!
There's so many, the thing is, if you just think of like, oh, what's the best game on PS4 or what's my favourite game on PS4, there's so many that come into your head. And I think perhaps it's because it's a game I never expected to enjoy. In fact, I convinced myself I wasn't going to enjoy it. I wasn't excited for it at all. And this is because I had never played a Dark Souls game or Demon Souls, and everything I knew about them was that they were not for me. They were really hard, they're really dark, a bit scary. So when Bloodborne was announced, people were very excited, apart from me, because I just was like, this isn't a game for me, and that's okay. So I didn't pay any attention, and it was just kind of happenstance that let me play it. For some reason I had to go to London to PlayStation's office, and as I was leaving I was given a copy of Bloodborne. It was a preview copy and it was for Nathan. It had Nathan's name on it, and I was to take it back to Bath and I was going to give it to him the next day. This was a press copy of the game. It had a nice kind of box and a little book. It looked like a kind of like a weird old antiquated sort of lore book. We've got it here somewhere. This kind of piqued my interest. It's exciting getting games early, and it was kind of like calling to me from the bag, you know, like on the train home. I just like, I've got a preview of a game here, and people are into this game. It's quite exciting, and like, the book did look interesting, and maybe I'll have a little look in the book. I can have a look in the book and just look at some of the pictures and things. In that kind of horror way, done really well. I was more curious than I was scared. It was intriguing. It was horrible, just really piqued my curiosity. I thought, I'll have a go. Like, it's not for me, but why don't I just give it a go and see how I feel about it? If you've played Bloodborne, you will know that the very first thing that really probably is going to happen to you in Bloodborne is that you are going to die. And that happened to me, and instantly I thought, okay, like, I can't believe I've been here 1 minute and I'm dead. And then, oh, hang on, what's this? We've gone to another place. What's Hunter's dream? Who's this lady? And like, I was instantly sold. I played Bloodborne for about 3 hours that night. I didn't know how to equip a weapon. I couldn't figure it out. I went back into the world and did my best to like wander around with my fists and I still loved it. I still loved it. It was like it was hard. It was really hard without a weapon, but I was like, I couldn't get over the world. Like,
You're
I was
that much
fascinated
of a pro gamer, though.
I was a pro gamer. I think I managed to probably in that 3 hours I didn't get very far. I think I unlocked the first shortcut.
I bet there's a video online. Level 1 fists only playthrough of Bloodborne.
It would be like if I'd known what I was doing, it would have been, it was like pro level, but that was enough. And the next day I had to give Nath the copy. We had one copy and Nath was going to be covering it for us, and he understood those games. I remember you put it on in the office, and as soon as it was on in the office, I knew exactly how to equip a weapon. I was like, oh, you just do this, don't you? And it was like, I can't believe it. But that was it then. And that, I was obsessed with that game, and it was such a surprise, and it marked a change in me. It kind of introduced this whole new genre of games to me, and I was so proud to finish Bloodborne. I thought that was something I'd never do, and then years later I was so proud to platinum Bloodborne, which again is something I never thought I would do, and it really like kind of brought us all together as well in a funny way. Like, I originally was kind of platinuming it with Nath and our friend Matt. Nath made a spreadsheet, and we were kind of helping each other through getting the trophies we needed and figuring all that out. And then Rob kind of piqued Rob's interest again, and we were talking about where he was in the game. And obviously then we played helping a noob through Bloodborne, and then Ash got involved and she got the platinum. And obviously, Rosie, you were there the whole time as like the Bloodborne master who was just helping everybody. And it just feels like the PS4 is kind of a career-defining or era-defining part of my life, Bloodborne was kind of a defining game of it for me. Like, it's just been prevalent, and I don't claim to understand it or be very good at it, but I really love it, and I've had like some of my best gaming experiences and memories are in that game, and I will always remember that. It's just fantastic.
So, my favourite memory of PS4, if I'm being completely honest, it's Bloodborne. But I feel that this can't be a Bloodborne-centric video, because I think we can all talk about Bloodborne. And I've spoken about Bloodborne and my love for it many times on the channel. I even did a whole video on why it's my favourite PS4 game, so you can check that one out, kids, if you want to have a real ride of a time. But my favourite PS4 memory, looking back on it recently, not to bring a down vibe or anything to this video, but this year I have sadly lost my family dog, Angus. He was 15 years old. And I've got one evening where I think my parents went out for dinner that evening, and it was just me and Angus. And I've got a picture of it on my Instagram, and he was on the bed with me, and we were playing The Last Guardian. And it was such a special memory to me because, first of all, it was just a me and Angus night. You know, usually in terms of the family food chain for Angus, my mum was the priority. So if my mum wasn't around and about and it was just me, it was, oh, fine, I'll put up with you then. But he actually joined me on the bed for a bit. And we're playing The Last Guardian, and every time Trico made a noise or anything, he'd like tilt his little head. With The Last Guardian, he actually sat facing the TV as if, like, you know, he was probably just like, oh, there's a light here. But to me, it was as if we were doing The Last Guardian sort of together. And I just remember cuddling him, giving him loads of pets, and just my heart melting every time I saw his little head just perk up if he heard Trico make a noise or anything like that. So whereas before, I always had this memory of that evening, and it was always very special to me. But now, like, looking back on it, and now Angus has sadly passed away, it's just really blossomed in my mind of just a really special moment of, you know, I had the PS4. I associate it a lot with being, like, still living with my parents because, like, you know, it was the phase where I was starting to save up to, and where am I going next in my life? And I wanted to start getting in the game industry, so I was doing my own YouTube stuff. So my memory is just of learning how to be who I am now, I guess, in a weird way because of it. It really kind of feels like home in a weird way to me. Just being in my bedroom, my parents were doing something downstairs. Every now and then they'd pop their head in, especially with Bloodborne. My mum had to check up on me when I fought the cleric beast. She was a bit concerned, so my brother had to come round. But yeah, PS4 is just those memories of being in my bedroom, loads of little things like Angus, like playing Final Fantasy X when I was in a long distance relationship, playing Crash Bandicoot for the first time, Uncharted 4, Metal Gear Solid 5, so many memories are just in that bedroom. So that's, I guess my fondest memory is my bedroom in a weird way.
In fact, I'd like to be in bed right now.
I'd like to be in bed, just my specific bedroom with that specific setup, playing hundreds of hours into the PS4, like
nostalgia. You know, I get that. Yeah, it does. It sums up a whole period of time.
I'm basically going to cheat in my entry. I feel like if you've
Surprise.
at least you're honest.
well, yeah, I feel like there were just too many things to talk about. So I'm going to talk about, I'm basically two, but a console generation really like just sits in your life, and it like the nostalgia you feel for it even like shortly afterwards. That's what it's kind of about, and it's really difficult to pick out a specific memory that isn't just me boasting that I got to go and do something cool for work, which like I could sit here and do, but
we should do another video about that.
Yeah,
cool stuff we did, thanks PS4.
I remember all the stuff that Rob was talking about in that build up to launch, and I remember that period of time because I just moved house into the house that I still live in now, so I had like a new house sense, and that Christmas was the first Christmas in that house, which was quite a nice time anyway. Christmas with a new console is always amazing, and that was when I played, like, I just fell in love with Resogun. You know, there's videos on the channel about how I fell in love, exactly how hard, me boasting about getting into the top 100 in the world for a matter of seconds, but like I did it, and I made a video while I was in there. I have similar kind of memories about all of us playing Astrobot, you know, like a few years later, just when there were people online trying to get scores, and like we're all on Twitter, and I've just got that sense of it's Christmas, I've got a new console and I'm falling in love with this game. So that's kind of like part one, and it's really bookended. It's so bound up with what I was doing and what we were doing during that whole period of time. But the games that I got to fall in love with, like, I feel like Dr. Zarkov in Flash Gordon, like I can't, you know what I mean? You can't pull them all out of my head. Like, how you can't expect me to forget all these games. Obviously Bloodborne, like The Witcher is the huge one. I've got this memory of winning Division 1 on the channel, like an old FIFA with Jay. Like, I remember we had my daughter Mads come on the channel, we played Knack 2 together. The PlayStation Studios games which were coming out during PlayStation 4 just seemed like on another level to me, having covered games for like 10 years professionally before PlayStation 4 came along. The stuff that we were getting to play just seemed obscene. Right at the end, when I kind of knew, and I think we knew, that my time as a full-time like host on the channel was coming to an end, to be able to cover The Last of Us Part 2 when I had this history kind of professionally, just like falling in love with the Uncharted games, really loving the first Last of Us, going out and being able to cover the announcement of that first game, and then for it to kind of be bookended. So like I've got Resogun at one end, I've got this incredible buffet of memories in the middle, stuff that, you know, like I'm just never going to forget. And then at the end, you know, you talked, Dave, you kind of mentioned it's almost impossible to pick out what is the single most impressive. Bloodborne's got to be in with a shout, just because I feel like the mystery of it, and there's something, you know, you're saying you don't really understand it, and I feel like that's why it's so alive in the community now. That's why, you know, that memory of us all getting together and just that buzz around us all getting the platinum reminds me again like a bit about Resogun. That period of time we were all playing Destiny, like that was so impressive and it seemed really groundbreaking, which is huge for me. But The Last of Us Part 2, probably the game on PS4 that I played, like struggling to believe that it was there, and that it was like, the quality of it just seemed outrageous. Going from just that pure buzz and excitement and just that real sense of like, we all play games for different reasons, and I feel like, but I also feel like there's like a common set of feelings and experiences that people who play games recognise and understand. And I feel like Christmas at home with a new console and falling in love with a specific game, it might not even be the most impressive or the biggest ticket game. That's something I think everyone will kind of can understand. And then that time when you're really looking forward to a game and you get it and it's just like, you just cannot believe, you're just like technically staggered, you're dramatically kind of staggered by it. That's just on the other end of the scale. And for me, like the fact that PS4 was, bookended by these extraordinary experiences. And then I got to do loads of cool stuff for work as well. So that's my cheat answer, is those two memories which happen to encompass all of PlayStation 4.
I had to start thinking about games, I think. Obviously, I love my PS4 anyway, but it's at its best when it's playing a game.
Netflix is good.
It really comes into its own then. It does lots of other things, but playing games it's really good at.
What better birthday present for PS4 than Dave's profound observation there? Think you can do better? I imagine you can. Pop your PS4 memories in the comments, give this video a like if you love PS4, and we'll see you again in 3 years when PS4 becomes a terrifying teenager. Bye!
PlayStation